Final Fantasy XIV has been on the come up lately with tons of YouTubers praising the game and lots of big streamers playing it, including Osmond Gold breaking records on his view count, doing over 100,000 people watching him play Final Fantasy. He's actually starting to die out when he plays World of Warcraft, which is crazy. So after keeping an eye on Final Fantasy XIV, I think it's finally time that I dived into it, and I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to be sharing the good and also the bad of Final Fantasy XIV, at least as a new player standpoint. The footage you're going to be seeing here is my fiance playing the game. I wasn't able to get my own footage because I'm still at the hotel and I've been using my laptop, which surprisingly can handle this game a little bit. So I'm barely getting like 20 FPS with it. But I'm not able to record and play at the same time because it just like can't handle it. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting off with the good. The first thing I want to talk about is the graphics and the performance of it. The graphics are actually really nice, even since this is a 11-year-old game, and it still looks pretty goddamn decent. I was playing it on my actual computer at home, and it looks beautiful, runs flawless. It's like super buttery smooth. On the PlayStation 4, it's also very buttery smooth. It still looks awesome. And then surprisingly, it runs on my laptop. I have an i7 processor in it, but I don't have a graphics card. So it's using like the onboard system graphics. And it's still able to somewhat play it. I was really surprised by this. And I think this is probably one of the major reasons on why there's so many people playing this game right now, because it is very easy to run on your computer. Not to mention that it's also on PS4 too. Now, just to touch up a little bit on the story, I haven't seen enough yet to really dive deep into what the story is like. So far, though, it's the basic stuff you would see in an anime, very cringy, with some cool moments, especially when it goes into cutscenes and stuff like that. There is a stupid amount of content in this game, stupid amount of story. So this would easily take me hundreds or even thousands of hours. Now let's talk about the music. It's absolutely amazing how much music they put into this. I was expecting it to be a normal MMO. It is not, man. Every single zone has their own style of music. Even dungeons have like specific moments where it changes into different styles of music. The boss fights completely change in music, and it's just like straight up bangers most of the time. I'll be sitting here just listening to it and just vibing with the music. It's so good. It's so good. The gameplay is just like WoW, and I think that's probably why a lot of people from World of Warcraft are flocking over to Final Fantasy XIV, because it's very familiar, and I could see this being a good thing in a lot of people's eyes because it's very simple to get into. It's very casual. Anybody can even grab a controller and start playing this game. So it's very accessible. It's not exactly my kind of taste, which I'll get to that when I talk about the bad. Now let's talk about quality of life. This is the biggest thing in MMOs that I'm always looking at. Final Fantasy XIV by far has the best quality of life I have ever seen in any MMO. It covers literally everything you could possibly imagine. Literally, you think about it, and there is a solution in the game for it. I really like how the tutorial is like spoon-fed to you slowly. Similar to what I felt like when I played Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. I really loved the pacing of that because it didn't just throw everything at you. It slowly just drip fed you information. And Final Fantasy XIV does this same exact thing. So it makes it really awesome for a new player to just kind of come in and be introduced to new systems as they keep playing, so that they're not overwhelmed by all the bullshit or have to go on Google and start searching things. And I gotta say right now, this so far in my 30 hours of playing Final Fantasy so far, I only went on Google like 2 times, and it was for like random shit. Like I was looking at how to level up faster, or it was like other things. In the game, most of the stuff that you need to know is already in the game itself. So if, let's say, for example, you're trying to hunt down a specific type of monster, it will show you in the game exactly what the monster looks like, what place to go get it, And then like it doesn't show you exactly, but it'll show you at least the area to go hunt it. So it makes it very simple to do stuff like that. You don't have to go Googling trying to figure out where a certain creature is. Same thing goes with the questing. It shows you very clearly on the map and also the mini map exactly where things are so you don't get lost. The dungeon finder is super easy to use. You just click on it, you jump into a group right away. And like I was saying about the spoon feeding, basically it starts you off by introducing you to the dungeon system, and it's like quick little missions that take like literally 2 minutes. It's go in, kill a couple mobs, and get out. And at least it shows you how dungeons work. It shows you how the team makeup works, the healer, a tank, 2 DPS, like it just slowly shows you that stuff. That way you can kind of get familiar with your class and also slowly get into it. I just really, really love the quality of life stuff in this game. It did such an amazing job, and I wish more MMOs followed this. Now let's talk about controller support. It's insane what they were capable of doing in this game. I remember so many times I was playing MMOs in the past, and there was discussions where I would see like one person saying, "Man, why isn't this game on the PlayStation 4? Why isn't it on the Xbox? Whatever." And they're like, "Oh, it's not possible for an MMO of this scale to be on a console because we obviously can't play it on a controller. You need a mouse and keyboard." So that stigma completely is thrown out the window, because what they were capable of doing on a controller is literally everything that a mouse and keyboard could do, to the point where I stopped playing with the mouse and keyboard and I found it to be like tiring. I'm now using the Xbox controller to play it on my PC. It's so goddamn good. And I wish more MMOs would do this also. The cross-platform play is really, really nice. I just started playing with my fiance. She's playing it on the PlayStation 4. I'm playing on the PC, on the laptop. And, we're doing our thing. We're on the same server. Everything that we want to do in the game, I can help her with all her quests. She can help me with mine. It's awesome to be able to even say that we could play together. Last game we played was Genshin Impact that had PlayStation 4 and also PC support. So it's nice to see that in MMOs, and I really hope the future of MMOs is going to introduce more cross-platform play. But we'll see. The game is also free to play till level 60. So pretty much you can finish the entire core game and also just continue to play and be level 60 forever if you wanted to. I don't know of anybody that would just want to stay level 60 forever, because especially when there's so much content, you probably even get friends that want to go and experience the new expansions. At least there is a trial version so you can see what the game is like before you jump into it seriously. The content is plentiful. There's just so much of it. It's all over the place. There's side quests in every freaking town. There's the main quest that takes you through every freaking zone in the entire world. There's the dungeons. There's repeatable content. There's a new game plus feature. So you can literally play through the main story again if you want to at your level. It's insane. They literally thought of everything that they could possibly do for an MMO, and then they just stepped it up a notch. And the best part of all is you can play any class you want on the same character. So that means you don't have to make 20,000 different alts. All you got to do is literally tap a button and it will change your gear set and also your class type at the same time. So you can turn into a healer, you can turn into a tank, you can turn into a DPS, you can change to a completely different type of DPS. You can do literally anything you want with that one character. This is by far the best feature an MMO could ever have. And this is the only one doing it right now. The only one that's about to do it very soon is Star Wars The Old Republic. They got a new expansion that's going to be coming out later in the year that's going to be able to do this similar thing. But it's still not to the same exact scope as what Final Fantasy XIV has. Now, let's talk about the bad. While I did mention that the game is free to play, Square Enix doesn't make it easy enough for you to even find the free to play version of this game. For example, if you're looking for it on Steam, you will go up to the search thing and you'll type in Final Fantasy XIV, and the first thing that will pop up is all the box copies. So it's going to try to sell you the game. It's the $20 one, it's the $60 package with the expansion pack, that stuff. But the only way to see the actual free-to-play version is you have to type in Final Fantasy Trial. That's the only way that it pops up. So they hid this thing so deep that it's like it's almost impossible for you to find, because they're really hoping that you're just going to swipe your credit card and just buy the game immediately. Same thing goes for the PlayStation. It is what it is. They're trying to make their money. I get it. But they'll get their money if they have a good game. And I'm enjoying myself to the point where I feel like I will buy the expansion packs and subscribe and all that. So it is what it is. But the biggest downside with the whole playing for free thing is that once you swipe your credit card and you do the monthly subscription, you can't go back to being free to play. So once you dedicate and you take that extra step, you're in it for life. And if you ever decided that you wanted to take a break from the game, then you have to have in the back of your mind that you're going to have to resubscribe in order to jump in and check it out again. Also, there are some free-to-play restrictions here. One of the biggest ones is that you can't use the auction house at all. So if you decided that you wanted to offload some of your loot and stuff, you have no choice but to vendor it. And vendoring items usually only yields like one little gil, so you're not making any money at all. Also, there are teaming restrictions in here. So you can't add people to your friends list and you can't add people to your team. So the only time that you're going to be on a team with people is if you're using the dungeon finder to be randomly put into a team. Other than that, you can't put yourself on a team with your friends if you wanted to. So that's a big bummer. I talked about the combat system earlier and how it was very similar to WoW. Well, that's a problem for me. I don't really enjoy this because it's very boring. All you do is pretty much just stand there and like press abilities that have long cast times and global cooldowns and stuff like that. So it takes away from the experience of feeling like an action game. And I know this is not what this game is trying to achieve, but it kind of saddens me. And then when you look at games that are coming up now and games that are even available at the moment, games like Guild Wars 2 with an active combat system where you can kite and you can run around and swing your sword in any direction and be able to still hit the target. It's really nice. Ashes of Creation, we got the alpha that's going on right now. Combat looks really good in that because you can move around while you're casting your spells and stuff. But in Final Fantasy XIV, most of the time you're locked in place and you're waiting on a global cooldown to expire before you can use your next ability. So this creates this very slow-paced gameplay where you're going to spend most of your time just tab targeting, hitting a button, waiting for the global cooldown, press the next button, wait for the global cooldown, and just rinse and repeat. Just go right back to press 1, press 2, press 1. You know what I mean? So it gets boring after a while, especially if you're playing a caster like I am. I'm playing the healer. I'm playing the conjurer. And it's literally like 2 buttons I press. And then like if I'm going to go and I'm going to heal for a dungeon, I'm just pressing 1 button to heal over and over. Like it's pretty simple. This goes into 2 categories though. Like, I mean, I know there's people that respect this and they like this, but people like me like to dodge, like to block, like to be active with my combat, and this is something that is not as good as I wished it was. So with the combat, I have to, chop down a point from Final Fantasy XIV. The voice acting isn't frequent enough. For some reason, they decided that they were going to do mostly just reading for a majority of the questing, which I get it for side quests, it's fine. But the main quest would be literally you'll have like so many scenes where it's just like you have to read, and then all of a sudden they will throw in a random cutscene where they're speaking, and I'm confused by this. You know what the problem with that? It actually spoils me and it makes me want more voice acting. So after the voice acted scene is over, it goes back to reading again. And then you're like, damn, like what the hell happened? You know what I mean? I don't even care how cringy the actual voice acting is. As long as it's there, it makes me happy because I don't have to read, and I really hate reading. And the last thing I want to mention is this game is not a fully open world game in the way of like it's kind of instanced where you go into a zone, it loads into that zone, and then you're in there. So whatever you do in that area is just kind of locked off to that zone. Similar to like the way Guild Wars 2 was, but not as big of worlds as Guild Wars 2. Because I've ran into so many invisible walls all over the place, so the inner wall climber in me just, it kind of suffers because of this, because I can't like, do some crazy parkouring. Most of the time it's blocked off and requires you to go around the mountain in order to like, get to the other side instead of like just, simply jumping up. So if an obstacle is built for jumping, then it will be pretty obvious for that. But most of the time it isn't. So it just kind of sucks that it's not a fully open world game. Overall, though, I kind of see why people are losing their shit over this game. This game has easily the best quality of life I have ever seen in an MMORPG. There's just so much in it. Everything you can possibly imagine. The HUD UI is really easy to navigate. Setting up your controller to work the way you want it to is really, really well done. Lots of variety of things to do in the game. It's just this is definitely one of the better MMOs of this time right now, mainly because of just the sheer amount of attention to detail with every single aspect that you would expect. You can see that Square Enix was working really, really hard with their fans to build this game and really make it what it is today. And honestly, this game is probably going to spoil me for the future of MMOs. Games like Amazon's New World that's coming up pretty soon, and also Ashes of Creation, because I'm pretty positive that both of those games are not going to have the quality of life stuff that this game has. Like it's going to be a very, very long time till they update their games to match this level of caliber of just sheer amount of replayability and also quality of life. So good luck to them. I really hope they achieve it. But yeah, Final Fantasy XIV is really good. Definitely go play this game. It's free to play. You just got to dig for it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Thumbs down if you didn't. And I'll see you on the next one. Later, guys.